Okay, so people were asking about style of trading, and I think that ultimately you'd be able to do all the styles because the same thing. If you're a musician and you play country, that's great. And there's some country gigs you could probably get where you're playing country. But if you can't play rock, fusion, metal, if you can't kind of put on those clothes and be that guy, there's nothing special really about playing metal. It's a style. And I wouldn't think it's any different in trading. You like to trade? What style of trading do you like to do? I like to swing trade. So if somebody's a swing trader, and I've talked to these traders about 3 years ago, people that position trade, my God, they're in the fucking trade for 3 months, and I'm like, oh my God. And one guy he scalped a little bit. He was really fearful, and he scalped a little bit, and I was like, dude, you're like, really just do a 1K. So that's another problem. It's like, we play major keys here. We don't play off key. So the band I'm in, I try to get them to play off key because they're such upstanding gentlemen when it comes to music that, it's a little pisses me off. So same thing with trading. That's what triggered me to do all these videos, is watching these people with these Fibonacci tools and all this harebrained shit they whip out, like just kind of a grab bag of, it's like talking points in the politics when you see a guy stand up there and go, what about the kids? I'm like, what about your kids? What about the kids? I'm responsible for raising kids? Wait, nobody gave me the memo on that one. Thanks. But funny, in trading, you get to choose your rules. That's what Mark Douglas said. And I don't like the word rules at all, so I would call them, how about freedoms? I have the freedom to pull the trigger. That's the line from, I thought was the only good line from, well, not the good one, the one that stood out in my mind, because we've seen a lot of Nazi films, but in Schindler's List, the guy says, as he's taking a leak, I think before he took a leak, he did something really just human. He was looking down into the yard and he said, the power is in not killing some of these fuckers. There's no power in kind of blowing people away. The power is to restrain yourself. So I restrained myself as much as I think's necessary, although I must say, to rip into these people, it keeps you out of jail, right? Because if I had to punch some of these people for the harebrained stuff they're saying, I just watched another installment of it's a lot to get through. I feel like I'm going to I feel like I'm taking a Scientology course, but I'm trying not to get sucked in, but every time I see the flaw, I immediately jump out, run the other way. It's a beautiful feeling of almost getting into a bad relationship and then just immediately cutting the wheel this time instead of getting sucked into that. Same thing with I like to see in the stock market, if something's crashing, it's like I'm just alerted, right? I'm triggered right there to start buying it. So I had to restrain myself there by putting in limits deeper than, it's like I want to be in that right now. I want to be in that trade right now. Well, the only way to really kind of ensure that you're going to get in the trade or kind of trick yourself into ensuring you're going to get in the trade is to buy lower with no good reason other than to buy lower. And people are disturbed by that also. I realized that myself was included in that in the beginning because I thought the more I know, the more I'll be able to trade. Then I had to come down to the fact that, no, it's about the money. If you have enough money to skillfully execute, if I give you a $300 guitar and a $300 guitar amp, if you can't go out and get a gig in the restaurant for free, you shouldn't be playing guitar. I mean, there has to be a qualifier. You can't be so fucking, well, I'm just saying I'm not into this middle of the road hodgepodge. Oh, you do this, you do that. And of course, if you see that, don't do that. And then later on, you see this no-nonsense Forex guy trickling in his, well, we break the rules here, though. Okay, well then, what the fuck are you using rules for? Why don't you use concepts? I mean, the rule list is based on shit that's in the concrete world. Why don't you just have a conceptual idea that, if it's a low price, I take a look at it. I don't have this bias where I'm like, no, I heard they were kind of slightly black people. They're in the black. That's what they need. The racists need to buy a black meter, and you just hold it up to somebody and scan them. It's like high-end laser shit, military. Okay, or you have the one that finds if you're American Indian scanner, right? Well, that's what people are trying to do with the markets. Look at traders are racist, face it. Plus, they're like, oh, dollar CAD. Oh, I trade dollar CAD. And this guy does a whole thing about the dollar CAD that he heard from this guy, Teddy. Hopefully it wasn't Teddy Spaghetti. That he should go long the Canadian dollar because look who's prime minister. He doesn't trade fundamentals, but this time he's making an exception. Some guy told him. My point being is that in the end, we have to live with ourselves and the trades we take. There's no fucking way. What if this guy dies? I don't care if you got the best signal service in the world. Look at fucking Steve Jobs. He's dead. Look at they fucking drove that goddamn company off a cliff. You know, Bill Burr must be laughing his ass off going, see, Bill's not there. I'm sorry. Steve's not there. Look at Steve's not there. What's going on with the fucking company? Yeah, they drove it off a fucking cliff. You got rid of a 1/4-inch jack on your fucking phone? I mean, I'm sorry. 1/8 inch. You got rid of an analog, hardcore, military, brutalized. What I don't understand, for the love of Pete, why didn't they just go down to a stainless steel 1/8 inch jack with multiple ribs where it just keeps going deep? It just fucks the thing deeper, and it's got fucking 64 tabs of contact. It's just some fucking serious integration where you got a breakout cam. They've already got a phone like that. It's got a breakout. It's like, it's an insane camera. Then they got the camera that has 16 lenses. Have you seen that? Takes a picture of everything. It's like a 5-minute chart, a 4-hour chart. And then later on, you can just decide, well, which shot do you want? Or you could just bring the whole thing. It'll align it so that it's just a layered up picture. See, the problem with digital is you come in, it's so light in the loafers that you got to do 5 digital shots, slightly different, stack those, and that's one analog shot. That's one getting hit in the head with a crowbar as opposed to playing it inside of a game. I know you're getting the feeling that you're killing people in these games, but you're really not killing people. And of course, some people would blame the games on people just thinking, well, that's a casual event to kill somebody. Who holds onto a gun thinking, well, this is a cool thing to just, I don't know. What the fuck? And then you got people out here like this, and I do believe in set it, forget it, and I do believe in supply demand zones. I really do. I know it's a true thing. So the problem here is this guy is leaning on something. Is it a fact? Okay, this is like if CNN was to sell you Forex courses, this is what they'd be like. Supply and demand does exist. There's not one time on here where the guy, and this is supposed to be a forecast. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Forex. No, USD forecast, it says at the end. But here, he doesn't make any forecasts. He just points out these giant supply and demand zones that, okay, it's a weekly chart. Are you seriously waiting 3 months to get filled at 200 pips deep in the supply zone or the demand zone, depending what side of the trade you're on? And these imbalances that don't last very long, called the wick, let's just be as simple as we could be. Every candlestick, when it's done in candlestick trading, in my opinion, candlestick trading can be do one candlestick at a time. If you see a gravestone, maybe I should go through the list, but a gravestone would be, or you see a morning star. Of course, that would supposedly be a gap move, I think. But if you just see this pin bar in a small body, okay, small body. How do you describe it? Small body. The wick is unfair value. The body is fair value. From the open to the close in one candle, the open to close is fair, right? Because people are like, hey, an hour's gone by, and guess what? It's still the same time here. What time you got over there? Yeah, still the same time. Everybody agrees. Total agreement. Also, lack of maybe volatility now, which is a whole nother factor, and that is what's going to dictate your trade plan. So right off the bat, in my book, you're going to say, how much money do I have? I got $20. I can run a 200 pip stop on a 1K. Pick your instrument. How long are you going to be in that trade? And are you willing to take 50 pips and realize, you know what? we're at the scalper's window. We got to get the fuck out here. We're in a supply and demand zone that lives inside the supply and demand zone. So there is the guy that's driving his ship. The banks are slow moving, or the hedge funds. Who's ever holding the other side of the trade? Don't forget the banks, hedge funds. All these people are trading. It goes in balance. Then somebody's gonna, enough people come into that price zone. Because I guess the fear has, well, I wouldn't say fear, but for some people, right, if they're on the wrong side of that, people on the right side of that are like, holy shit, there's our target, we're out, we're done. The only problem with that trade that's making a lot of money is that it's not a buy and hold strategy. Supply and demand zone trade, that style is like, okay, we're just here to play one song. We're just on the show for one song. Okay, you got to trade pretty big on that. What's the frequency you're trading? How much you trying to make a month? $1,000 a month? $10,000 a month? How much percentage of your account? I can see how people fall into the thinking that what I'll do is I'll build this algorithm. It'll be really sweet, like a race car you built for a track. But the problem is the track is going from like off-road to super flat to dirt track, without warning. Well, with kind of warning, but if you're on a dirt track for a while, it's like, well, it's going to smooth out pretty soon. And this is kind of normal fractal you get if you're driving somewhere. It's pretty rough, and hopefully this is going to smooth out. I mean, same thing in airplane, turbulence. Oh, hope this smooths out. Turbulence is the news. According to Bill Williams, the news comes into the market, stirs it up, right? But all of those pockets, all that track's been laid. All it takes is maybe the news or just the anticipation of the news. And there's always going to be this whipsaw where I don't care who you are, if you don't trade with enough room to your tickets, you don't give yourself. This is why the fundamental guy, Norman, says, well, Jesus Christ, 6 months, it's okay to be wrong for 6 months because you'll be right in 3 months. You'll make it all back and then some, because it's going to engulf. It's going to go unfair. It goes from imbalance to imbalance and crosses through balance, right? So I'm sure anybody could pick a chart where, and that's what you kind of see if you're just given two candles, or the inside bar technique, where basically you have a big wick, pause at the top, or pause in the middle. You basically have a pattern. You just lost volatility in the past two sessions, whatever they are, 15 minutes, and you only have to look back. I know it's hard to do because you have all that data in front of you, but if you only look back 3 bars, you can see the choices are very simple, clean at that point. And it's very hard to force the charts software to just give you 3 bars. You'd have to put up what you need to put up vertical charts and force it to only show you. Because your mind's going to look at the past of that and say, well, but where we're at in the big picture, but it doesn't matter unless you're doing a big picture trade. See, this guy's on a weekly chart for for the love of God. You're talking philosophically about price at that point. It's intradable. This guy's never going to get, this guy might get filled once a month. Okay, I guess if you're into that, right? But why in a market that's open 24 hours would you not take advantage? Well, it depends who you are, right? Depends how much you want to trade. And the Alpari thing, I'm still, Alipari thing, the Amish guy, I still haven't even been, I can't figure out if the guy's Ron L. Hubbard or he's Will Ferrell from the Amish singing group on Saturday Night Live. Still trying to figure that one out. It's just he just smiles too much. He's a sociopath, I think, straight out the gate. Set it and forget it. Supply and demand trading. Yes, I think not only set and forget, but rinse and repeat, because we will retest these zones inevitably in some way. And of course, I'm also talking about when I trade on the tablet, I don't have more than 1K on each ticket, because if something goes terribly wrong and I start hitting the wrong key, or I hit the wrong key, I'm not making that big a mistake. Okay. I don't think I want to fly a jet plane, a Lear jet. Okay. I could maybe fly a beginner fly plane. I get used to the feel. I guess people do gliders or something, or just build your own paper airplane, see how you can get that to fly. But I don't think I want to do Learjet trading where I'm in so big on one ticket that I'm really like, holy shit, like, Jesus Christ. I mean, who needs this fucking pressure? Let me just hit a button and throw some tickets in and kind of gather some, accumulate a position, whatever the market's going to allow. That way, it's hard to make a mistake. These are. It's not a mistake. It's just a slight shift in equity, as opposed to a slam of queuing it up, daily chart. Mr. No Nonsense Forex guy goes, get into this trade, put in some stop based on the ATRs. Okay. Not structure, of course, because that doesn't exist. And just trade that one trade with 1% of your account. I guess so. I don't know. I'd like to see that results of that. And I'm sure there's some reason why this guy doesn't even post a fake account and just go, in other words, just say to people, look, this is a demo, or this is what the account would do had I done everything I said I was going to do without breaking my rules and going against myself in that the way that he said it's okay to break the rules, which becomes discretionary trading all of a sudden and more intuitive trading. Right. So the intuition, I can do more intuitive trading because my size is not that big. Per ticket, that is. So that makes a difference too. If you're going to go for the, I'm so right on this trade, I'm going to load the wagon on this one ticket, and I will scale out and take half the position off. I do think that's better. That's the only good thing this guy says. And he also says, I think he gets into talking about how to lose. I'm kind of scared to listen to that one. I think it's just I think you're losing the moment you pull the trigger. So you're always a loser in this game because you're always under fucking water on a swing trade that's going to make a mint possibly, or you're under fucking water on just pull the trigger. Like Hilton, you're down $600 on the trigger pull, and it's like, okay, every pip is worth like, $200. Every pipette is worth $200. Every tenth of a pip is worth $200. You're like, that's $2,000 a pip. Fluctuation. Okay, you're in. What's your stop in? Don't have one. The guy doesn't have his stop. And so, he's trading with $150,000 in the account. Right, okay. But for people that don't have $150,000 in their account, that to tell somebody that you're in something that's fluctuating, like 5 minutes from now, you might be up $6,000 or you might be down $6,000. That's pretty heavy. I mean, it depends. And of course, nobody talks about that either. They talk about when back tested and this and that. I just don't get why the guy doesn't say, here's my system, check it out. I mean, I do it all the time. I go, here's the system, check it out. Can we play this forward in time? And somebody asked me about, like, why would you just publish, throwing boxes in front of the market? Well, those videos are basically the limit orders. It's an example of thinking on the fly as the market's going very quickly. Here, what am I going to do? Where would I sell? Those are supply and demand zones on the last videos, because that's really all the market is. It's supply and demand. In the end, set it, forget it, is about limit orders. I don't think you'd put in stops unless you're going to bracket stops around a small range and trade the breakout theory. And you would do that also. You cannot just trade one style. Like I said, you won't get a lot of work. You won't make as much money as if you trade multiple styles and multiple currencies too. Now that may be a feat, because you may have to start saying, well, I can't even fucking tell if I'm in a breakout or if I'm in a fake out. And is this structurally sound? Should I get in here? Is this thing just drifting sideways for a fucking plunge or a rally? how long are we going to drift sideways? And how long are these range traders going to be cleaning up? And as soon as the clock's ticking at 80%, you're like, holy shit, really? This is too good to be true. The range traders are only getting hurt, or the grid traders are getting hurt, when people that sell into on limits that are way out there. In other words, if they don't range trade, they're range trading it, and then it starts to go bonkers and it never ranges for them. It just keeps, every bar is going in one direction for the next 40 bars. And people are like, what the fuck? So at that point, also, your trade plans probably, maybe some of them scalped on a counter trend move, but that's not going to work anymore. And like the no-nonsense Forex guy, when he went to the weekly chart on the dollar CAD, if you look at his dollar CAD video, goes to the weekly chart. He says, I can't believe I'm going to the weekly chart. What a lazy fuck. Dude, if you built this algorithm, it should be scanning the 4-hour, the daily, the weekly, the monthlies. If it's that good, your monthly setups are going to be where you're like, honey, let's get a second mortgage. We're going in on this trade. Okay? But for a lot of us, we just want to make money so at the end of the month we've got money, right, to pay whatever extortion the government is laid on top of us. And it also depends. Are you just doing this for fun? And you could do it in a demo. Of course, people would say, well, that's kind of like renting a porn girl. It's not a real relationship. You had no skin in the game. So, well, that's the beauty of the demo account. It's like having a free hooker. So, also, if you like that, And another thing is, why not the demo account? Why not show us? Why not? It's just kind of weird. The whole Blackboard thing, and, trust me, I know it's, and I always do tell people when I'm dealing in the physical world about something I know about, I do say, no, trust me, I kind of know about this topic, but then that's only for the people that give me a hard time. Now, the other people, hey, listen, if you got a better answer, I'm waiting for the guy to rip my video apart and just tell me how I'm so full of shit. I just can't believe that hasn't happened yet, but maybe it's out there. And so you can trade, and I've said it before, the goobers are killing you. The retail guy that's trading these straight-laced, I get into the MACD. Another thing, this no-nonsense Forex guy doesn't know how to fucking trade divergence on MACD. That's the whole point of it, dude, the histogram. He ignores the histogram. Dude, that's your first place to get in. That's your first hint the market's losing momentum in a direction. It's this guy's first guy. He claims 10 years of trading. What did he do? Run fucking first shooter game on the one side of his brain? Who knows? 81,000 people. Incredible. He blows away. I think it's the fact that his approach is unique. He's got the blackboard that's like the low-res graphic GIF from, I don't know, it's not even, couldn't he just taken a picture of a real blackboard or found a high-res? Dude, you're not even running any moving pictures. You couldn't have gone out and got a fucking nice airbrushed blackboard. You just want to torture our artistic retina with that fucking crude graphics. At least this guy's got the cube shit going on in the background. Like, check this out. Yellow font, how to trade. Now, another thing I just want to talk about with traders are traders just fucking retarded? Most retarded fucking people? Do you think that if I go and try to find out how to do it yourself, DIY, I guess they do have videos like that. How to redo your basement. I do like how-to books. What am I saying? But no, I just feel like it's like everybody, and of course this all comes across as being the official doctrine. But if you cannot picture yourself trading supply and demand zones, and you do want to see a moving average, trust me, there's people that are saying, you know what, I'm in your car, but could I just look at the compass to see if that's our version of the compass, because it tells them direction. I get that. But sometimes the car is just going back and forth and it's making money on the short trips, right? So you have the big long haul trucker guy. He gets into New York. He goes all the way to California. It takes him, 5 days? I don't know. He's got hookers at the bus stops, at the truck stops. And so that's the big giant position trade. But amongst that, there's all sorts of trades going on underneath that related to that thing. So when the guy at Trader's Way is talking about, well, these countries have to switch money back and forth. Okay, great. But there's this thing, like if you take gravel and throw it a thing, there's a distribution where you have these little guys at the bottom. If you start to vibrate that mess, it's going to consolidate, right? If you think that Fibonacci works in the market, you should totally agree that the market's an organic phenomena. It's like nothing else on the planet. It can do anything it wants at any time for any length of time. Do you know anything in the world that's like that? I mean, you got these birds. They show up at about 4 a.m. when twilight starts, and they're out there going nuts. That's always going to happen. I mean, unless somebody blows up the planet, that shit's going to keep going. That routine, people love that fucking routine. Market doesn't have a fucking clue of that, other than there is a routine for Asia, which is called lack of volatility. So obviously that is the quintessential decision point. The only reason this no-nonsense Forex guy can people are saying, oh, this is working for me. This is working for me. Yeah, because you know what? You're not going to do more than one trade a day. You're guaranteed you're not going to overtrade this account. And maybe some of these people were just trying to scalp. And now they're like, shut the fuck up. This guy's helping me. Okay. Yeah, that's true. From the guy that had 5 hookers, he was doing meth, heroin, and now he's down to just getting drunk on the weekend. Yeah, you're doing way fucking better. Let's just say, no, he got rid of. But that's also people that, I guess there's a lot of interest in trading. I didn't realize it. If you do a Forex search over the past 2 years, shit comes up in languages I didn't even know those were languages. I'm just saying, do a Forex, just the word Forex, and then just say most recent upload. And you're like, huh? That's what I just did here. That's how I got here. And I don't know if the algos are tapping in my brain, but yes, supply and demand zone explains it. Now, I wouldn't actually go with anybody's other view than my view of supply and demand zone, which to me is the most recent supply and demand zone, is the most critical. Everything else is just nothing but a mind-bending, too much information of mind-bendingness, because it doesn't even matter. I can't make any money next week knowing what the high is 5 years ago. I'm just so sorry to tell you, for my frequency of trading, which is going to be, if they smash a market into a new low on Sunday, I'm buying into it. It's just how I do it. Now, you don't have to do that. And you could wait for a divergence. And I would probably add at that point, but a part of me needs to be in the market. That's why I'm trading a 1K. So psychologically, I've cured the problem of missing out. If you have a fear of missing out. If I've got a pending now here's another fear that goes away. If you just don't have any tickets in the market, and you put here's a psychological experiment. Open up a demo account, put all your orders in 10 pips away from current price. Say if you want to sell, put a sell limit 10 pips above, and just sit back. Do you feel like you're missing out? You've really set yourself up for a high probability, if you put up enough currency pairs, and depending how dynamic those are volatility wise, you basically, you're saying, well, I could be into it. I could cure the fear of missing out, but it's not going to be my choice. So there's a control issue there, obviously, because if you do get in the market right now, it's because you're afraid that they're going to leave the station without you, and that now is about as good as it's ever going to get. So order placement, I didn't really think about this till I wrote the scripts, because there's no way manually. A lot of people would not manually do that, although you could. just sell at the market and then start putting forever last, I suppose, is the criteria. Unless you've chosen a criteria, maybe it saves the last. I've never done manual trading in a long time, so. But if you left mouse click on your MT4 and you start, it just naturally put a limit up there, a sell limit, and you sell at the market and you pepper some limits up there. That's what I was doing in the video. I was trying to emulate the tickets in the boxes and say, yeah, those are my sell boxes, those are my buy boxes. It's a zone. It's my buy zone, my sell zone. And as the market's cruising along, where is it at currently right now? Where could it go to? Where could it go up to, down to? I'm not going to discriminate and be like a racist about direction. I'm going to say it could go up or down. You know, I mean, there's a point at which you're like, yeah, okay. You know, I mean, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that definitely is a pocket that's probably suspiciously going to be, it's so cute. It just reminds me of the fractal that's going on in politics where you have these are secret documents. They're secret. Guess what? They're not secret anymore. Once the market explodes into the zone, we're going to see at the moment of truth, okay, is this a supply or demand zone? I'm going to say that what a lot of people are probably doing in the internet is repackaging shit they heard, talking points. This is a supply zone, demand zone, without one fucking mention of what to do with it. I don't think any of these people have a trade plan for these. And of course, the trade plan is when you're going to have to accept the risk. Because if you're going to trade with a 100 pip stop exclusively and risk $10 a trade, okay, that's a great trade plan because $10 is like, for some people, that's like dinner or lunch. Or maybe that's their cookie. They have one of those $10 cookies. Mrs. Fuddruckers, whatever the fuck it is. There's Mrs. Field. There's some lady claimed to be the ultimate chef. How about one of those, oh gosh, I mean, they have these high-end restaurateurs that become famous and they have, well, this is our place. Peng Chung or some shit. You're at the airport and you're going, okay, Peng. You got some poor kid that's got a tattoo on his forehead here, a swastika, serving me this shit. I think you spent too much time in the freezer. Better just make something at home. See, that's homemade, and this is what I think trading for me just came down to, you know, I did all the trading courses where you'd say, okay, don't be angry, you know, this angry trading. Well, you know what? I got an angry script. It just throws orders in there. Fuck them. So I could get that off my, I don't have to worry about that. It's not going to bother me. I'm trying to make it like fun to trade. But the seriousness that people take with it, and it's like the disclaimer, like, oh my God, the amount of, you think that you were just in, you decided to be your own policeman or something. Who are you to decide what? I guess it's the list that they say, you can't do this, you can't do that. I just thought, well, why not though? Why can't I just buy down there? And I just proved it to myself years ago. I did a trade like that. And that's when once I saw that the market could spike down and retrace in 8 hours, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. That has to be the best trade that I ever really kind of just didn't think was possible, because I thought there's no fucking way in the first place they're going to spike the market down. And even if they do, what do you think they're going to retrace that fucker? So they're going to go unfair, back to fair, to unfair to the other side? No fucking way. I tell you, you're full of shit. But then when you look back on the chart, any chart, you go, what the fuck's that? Look at the spike here. Wow, look at that thing. Where did that wick stop at? Maybe I should get in there. Okay, well, that's just a little too simple, buddy. Don't you understand? Don't you know what exponential moving average is? Let me sit you down, son. Son, if I told you once, I told you 100 fucking times. You get your ass on that moving average and you learn. Can you imagine some some bully dad. We had him in our neighborhood. When we had this one guy that just beat the shit out of his kid, literally in front of people. And we're like, dude, that is harsh. You grab somebody by the ear and then you kick them all the way home. Man, that's rugged. That's like, we had some rugged parents in a suburban environment. It was scary, dude. It's like that, the American movie, American Beauty. Anyway, so this guy's going to take us through his how to trade Forex using supply and demand imbalances. He's not going to tell you how, but I'm going to try to insert on top of his. He is going to mention Fibonacci, so brace yourself.
Hello, fellow traders. In this short video,
I thought he said hello, floor traders, but he said hello, fellow traders.
I'm going to show you how to trade Forex using supply and demand imbalances. This analysis.
I think he's Indian, right? Is that where you're not afraid to open your mouth? Were those people beat in the mouth when they were young? They've been ingrained. Like, we'll just talk like this. Don't act like. What is it? Well, what do people do if they're deaf and they show up in India? They're like, dude, are these guys ever going to move their lips? Like, I don't know what anybody's saying. It's not the place to go on vacation if you're deaf. Don't go to India. We're talking like this.
Analysis is for dollar yen for May 27th, 2019.
I don't know what this guy's talking about, because my chart from dollar yen, which I actually have here, is not looking anything like that. Let me see my dollar yen here, so I'm trying to keep track of all these trades now. Let's see, dollar yen. I guess I looked at the wrong currency. So, but to me, it's screaming into the bottom. It looks like he did his video and published it later, because it looks like it's going a lot lower to me. I don't have it there right now, but I think didn't it go down lower? Aren't they just punishing that dollar yen right now? Like, it's making new lows.
Okay, let's pull up the dollar yen. This is the weekly chart. As you can see here.
I thought we were like down here now, but I think this guy is he's a little slow on the upload here. I think aren't we just going through this shit here? And this is the ultimate low. It's a weekly. So he's got these areas marked. I can't imagine that. In my system, this isolated wick, this is where people, if you're a recovering Gartley trader, this would be your A to B, the C to the D. This is going to be one of those letters. This also is a retest area of this doji here. So in the classic candlestick charting, which this really is, I do prefer this. If you're going to do candlesticks, do it like this. It looks gorgeous when it's like, but the wicks are a little too skinny inside of MT4, I still think. But here's that doji factor. Doji, here's where we are in balance. We're all balanced out here. But see, here's the stop hunt. So I would be buying that. That's a supply zone or demand zone. Above here is a supply zone. Up here is a severe supply zone, right? What he's doing here with this is silly. This is so, okay, dude, this is still so don't matter right now. For right now, I'm just walking back to all the baby. See how this is a supply zone here? You see how tight that is? His supply zone is so gargantuan that, are you fucking kidding me? No. Supply is below here, below here, below here. It always is now and forevermore until we hit that shit. If we hit it. Another thing to consider, are you comfortable buying here? Buying here? And in the limit system, you'd be buying here the most. So you're actually going to add. You're going to get in fatter. The deeper you go, the more you buy. Total contrarian trading. Most money, if you can afford it, you buy here. You buy. You also buy. Well, there might be a scalp in there. I can't see it on the weekly here, but if you're going to buy very heavy here, and you're also going to buy, look, as soon as they haven't filled these tickets yet, this is where it's going to be difficult, and maybe you're going to have to buy here because you can't fucking believe it. So you buy here a little bit, but try to have the discipline to leave all these limits in and just go, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen next. This vacuum is too fucking looming. This is ultra loom. That is a big fucking deal. If you could have an indicator that draws that, now we're talking. It's going to ignore this because that's null and void now. It don't matter. Once we fill this cavern, okay? When you get to this, the bottom of this table, this is the ultimate entry. But on the way down, you're scaling in. Maybe you're linear getting in. Maybe this is just a nice flat entry. But if you think that this is going to be the ultimate supply or demand zone, just like this is the ultimate. Now, why doesn't he mark this off? This is the only trade that you could have taken in a supply demand zone. On a weekly chart, there's only so many choices for supply and demand. Currently. But as this is unfolding, right, this is the place people hang their dumb shit Gartley's off, and then they say, well, I didn't quite get the right thing here, and I put my stop here. I'm like, yeah, you put your stop there. Like you're really trading in the edge of this, looking for this unfair to unfair trade going through fair. And we'll just take in here we have this unique, one of a kind triangle pennant flag, fill in the blank. When I say flag, all I mean is that's where the trend traders get in. That's where the low risk, low volatility traders get in. Because when it comes down here in this Dojiville, it's like this is the safest time to get aboard the train. But not if you're going to put a sell. If you're going to buy at the market here and put a stop here, they creamed you if you bought. Okay, another thing. If you bought this big down candle because you go, yeah, I'm buying when the market goes down, and you put a stop here, you're gone. You're gone. But if you buy here, this is when I started talking about buying at the market. If you think they can't take it lower, then you're nuts. You're literally nuts. You might as well just join Scientology and just work your way up to the bridge. Here, this is the reason why you would say, no, because I bought here and it never went any lower. Okay, great, but then it'll cost you risk a lot. Big down bar, buy. And here you could scalp it. Guess what, in the end, unless you had enough money to buy here at the market, here at the market, here at the market, and meanwhile you're getting filled on your limit system. So if you overlap both systems, right, and then you have your low volatility breakout trade, this is the only trend trade in this whole scheme because it's the only small bar to get aboard the train. And this is where Forex goober, no nonsense Forex guy gets in right here. I can already tell. I already know where he gets in. He don't get in here down the reversal. He gets in when we come back to the standard deviation in a trend. He's a trend trader. He's going to get in here. He'll probably get in here. He wouldn't get in here because there's no volume. He gets in here, but he's still right. Okay? Yes, he could be right. He could buy here, and he could say, look it, dude, you know what you're talking about. We're in an uptrend. Okay, that's all great and wonderful until you get into this shit. But my question always has to be, who is the guy who's buying this stop hunt on the weekly right here? I want to be this guy. I got a buy limit in here. Maybe I buy stop here. Holy shit. Boom. 1 week. I'm out. 1 week trade. Here, you buy at the market. If you put your stop too tight at the end of the week, maybe your stop's here, maybe you got a stop here, maybe you got buy limits down here. The size is going to determine, are you buying here at the market and buying on limits? That's a different strategy than, I'm going to buy at the market here, and here I have sell stops, which would be kind of like, okay, it might work out in the end, right? But did it work out here? If you didn't delete, and also, are you going to delete these sell stops? Or you get trapped here? You have sell stops here. Continuation trades, don't forget. Continuation, guys. At some point, it ain't going to continue no more. Here's an instance where people are all bullish. They're buying all the pullbacks, long, long, long. Baby's just not going nowhere. And where do they have their stops stacking up? Well, the first guy that's going to sell on a stop, he's going to get involved on the short side of this by default because he's going to start selling this. Somebody talked about the strategy of adding to a stop entry confirmation, which this is a prime example. If there are buy stops stacking up here and there are sell stops stacking up here in your system, every time the market gets quiet, you keep putting in buy stops, sell stops. And if you put them on the lows there, or if you have a button you press that kind of throws them out there and they end up being X away, and the more quiet the market is going, the quieter, the tighter you're going to run that hedge system. When that thing bursts, it's going to do what a hedge system does. So having multiple systems, having at least a market order, a stop order, limiting order in your toolbox of how to attack the market. So if you're going to put your buy limits in here for the whole week and walk away, okay, that's the best way to start. You can always move them around and say, you know what, that's just too fucking close. It's better down here. And this point, you're trading because you're running a trading business. You haven't been filled. You're not in a trade, but you're trading. Just because you're not pulling the trigger at the market, which is such a goober move. And that's why No Nonsense Forex guy has like the shittiest fucking, he must have not the best price. It wouldn't stand to reason that if you're trading 1% of a giant account, that's a lot to risk. Dollar-wise, how do dollars not matter? If gas was $10 a gallon, people would probably bust out a fucking bicycle. People would drive little baby. You know what would happen? And I can already see it. You could just get a high-end ice bike. Just buy an ice bike and dress like you're fucking in Alaska. Who gives a fuck? You got fucking ice tires, ice brakes. Nature finds a way. Trust me. It's found a way before. And so the supply and demand zone thing to me is just like the last week is the supply zone, not fucking like this shit. And why isn't he saying, look at this supply zone? Wow. He just throws this shit up. There's canned shit that just jumps out at him. Has he ever even been in one of these trades? Did he ever buy this bottom becoming a top here and then throw limits in and go, holy shit, I know this ain't going to turn around when I pull the trigger at the market. You got to be out of your mind to think that you're picking the best price at the market. Those are shitty trades unless you're going to say that, okay, I'm going to scale into this thing. Then, okay, that makes sense. Buy one at the market and then put some other ones in to make some money. Trading at the market. It's so, you're such a slob. I understand you have to do it to satisfy the fear of, or maybe you just find it enjoyable to be in a trade. You like the idea that your money's working for you. You know, even if you're underwater in that trade, you're doing better than the guy that's not even trading. I've always thought that even if I'm losing, I'm doing better than the guy that's not even, as Cortez would say, you ain't even trying. I'm the boss. You're not even trying. That's some funny shit. Very motivational. But look at this tippy top here. Holy shit, look at that. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This is a classic guy that's been set up to, here's what we do here at the firm, and here's what you're going to talk about. And how did he make it to this video? Where'd this guy come from?
On the watermark, dollar yen weekly chart.
Somebody's going to correct me and say, no, that guy's from Australia. Oh, okay. Deaf people, stay away from Australia.
Here, as you can see, I have drawn some rectangles using the Fibonacci tool on TradingView, which allows me to extend rectangles. The rectangle tool will not allow me to extend it itself, so I'm just using a little trick by using the Fibonacci tool and selecting 0%.
Okay, it's just using it so you can extend the ranges.
set 100%,
I'll give him a break there.
and the labels to be displayed on the far right. So it is acting as a rectangle tool that I have created.
It's acting as a rectangle tool
For MetaTrader and other platforms that allows me to extend the rectangle far to the right. So here I have drawn some imbalances. As per several rules, we have a very strong imbalance at the top there, a reaction over there, and then a brand new area supply on the way down. Very strong move away. We have to look for these kind of moves to.
So I beg to differ. The area supply existed while the market was up here. So the whole time this was going up, we were creating this supply zone. In other words, the imbalance is forming in this kind of vapor trail here of this. The bulls are so brutal here, and they kind of exhaust this. They feel this supply has been satisfied. So I look at more of like this is the supply zone. This is the supply zone, demand zone. It's a zone, and it's just itching to be filled. And of course, when we come down here, we create this vapor, this trailing. The drag on the plane. How do planes fly? Because you create a little bit of vacuum underneath the wing there, or above the wing, because of the way you're hitting it. The angle of hit. But let me go back to his spiel here.
2 or more ERC candle. Like here we have.
See, I'm also surprised that he didn't. There is a balance. He talks about imbalance. Balance is here. The reason you'd probably buy here, or get out of your shorts and go the other way. But what's worse than that, and what makes trading even harder than that, is there is also this one. There's this supply. There's this little baby supply, right? These little baby vacs. Well, which one do I trade? Well, it depends. Are you willing to be in this trade and go unfair value, imbalance, back to trying to get back in the door of balance, all the way to balance here, back to this? Then you're going to buy here and say, well, we're going to ride it to imbalances, which the other guy was doing, the guy that we trade waves guy, right? He wants to get back to the borderline, but he's going to do it in the Elliott wave fashion. Okay, that worked out good there. Now that robot also, I noticed years ago that when some system would play out like brilliantly like this, I'd say that system ain't going to show up for a long time now. Time to take that robot offline. In fact, that was also the way you would do the fund managers, right? This is the best performing fund. Well, that's the one you want to not even buy. You want to buy the worst performing fund because it's probably going to go into a high performance mode. So you would trade the funds like that, You look at, okay, utilities are getting killed. I'd be just like, okay, the utility funds are getting killed. Like, let me look at the chart. And that whole sector is getting punished, right? And then it goes into favor, out of favor, unfair, fair. There's people are saying, you know what, I'm going to park my money in utilities and gain interest. I mean, there was a time when people scatter. They go, you know what, stock market's going up because of the dividends and the tax. Okay, because of the tax regulations forces people to behave in another way, and fundamentally they're going to go into an instrument that just they don't care about the stocks going up. I got a buddy that owns stock. He won't sell because he doesn't want to pay the taxes. He's in the stock market to this day as it's going on insane highs, but he doesn't like the feeling of paying taxes, so he's not going to touch it. What motivates the crowd at large, and what I mean, if you're running some big hedge fund, are you really going to be scalping? No, you're just going to sit in the fucker and go, yeah, huh? Every signal you get is just confirmation to stay in at that point. Of course, this also presupposes you have an offsetting instrument that you can trade at a little bit higher frequency rate. You may be holding a position in something, but you're actually going to trade against that position by taking the other instrument. Okay, this is kind of complicated, but if you were running some big fund and you had people that could keep books like that and be like, yeah, we're long this thing, but it's okay because we counter trend trade the other similar instrument over here. And now you're talking about a big production of like, okay, people got to show up on time. They got to know what the fuck they're doing. You're managing maybe other people's money. And this is where people get all nervous. It's a lot of money. And, it's a big. So I would never want to be that guy that people are going, well, let me, because I hate to explain to people, like, no, trust me, dude, this is how you tune the guitar and this is how you put the strings on. They're like, yeah, have you ever thought about, no, I haven't thought about that. I mean, it's a guitar, the strings go on here. Now that is kind of like trading, here's the mouse, you can click, you got 3 choices. Well, you got 4 choices in each direction, not to take a position, to go long, to go short. So those 3, and then adding on to the 3, you got 3 different ways to get in. Are you going to get in with a stop? Or you get stop, limit, market, right? But the not being in the market does not have a position. So there's no worry there, but that is a position. But then how are you going to execute it? And those kind of trade plans and schemes, and I don't really call them algorithms because that makes it sound like it's a EA and that's just going to keep churning out this curve-fitted piece of shit. Algorithms that you're talking AI, right? Algorithms that can rewrite themselves to fit better on the fly, curve fitting on the fly, which is the only thing you could have as an adaptive moving average, which maybe that's what this no-nonsense Forex guy suspect that's what he stumbled across in his holy grail searchings. And that's why he's not going to divulge it or something. It's like, dude, whatever. Supply and demand zone can't see your fucking... he says the most harebrained shit. Like, if the banks... There was like that... There's more people than... It's just ridiculous. But he works at some place, I assume, that for a kibitz, he's doing these videos. He talks about... This guy here, I think he's trying to get people to join his... we talk about this, that. He makes a couple, he makes a little bit of money. And he gets to regurgitate these classic memes or whatever you call them about the market. I don't know what to call this stuff. Just kind of everybody passes around the same old hashed, run over, books galore on this shit.
A couple of them. Here we have a couple of them. Here we also have a couple of them, but it goes against the bigger picture downtrend. So it's...
He's also presupposing a trend, which I don't think a supply and demand trader would even want to do. I wouldn't even put that thought in my head of trend. Another thing, I would isolate these thoughts. My limit trade plans have to be, even though it hurts to say it, non-directional or non-trending, it hurts to say it to a trend trader. People want to... Dude, they're like, are you for or against? This is how people get in these political things. Well, are you with the... It's like, oh, man, really? Okay, it's going to be like that. Can I get the salad on the side? Can I get the dressing on the side, please? I mean, I like when people in restaurants bring you stuff. You're like, I just know there's some lettuce in here.
Not allowed to take that kind of imbalances, if any are created there. We have very specific rules to locate this kind of sorry.
Don't be a Saudi. I can barely hear what you're saying.
Imbalances. One of the...
Wow, look at that one. His cursor just touched it. Did you catch this bottom become a top here structurally on close? First time, second attempt. The classic ultimate, of course, here you would get trapped. Here directionally you would have to put a sell stop in to make a clean. Another thing the guy said in that dollar CAD and no nonsense for it goes, it hasn't lost yet. I'm like, can I bet against your next trigger pull? It's so far it's working. What a fucking goober shit thing to say. 10 years of trading and so far we tested this thing. It's running real good. I mean, I know that's for fantasy EA writing and stuff, but in the real world, we're going to make a lot more money if we can see what's right out in front of our lawn. Hey, there's the house across the street's on fire. Okay, that's a little more important, I think, than the house that is like 5,000 pips on the other side of town, right? I mean, I'm just saying. Is it me?
The main features we want to look for is the strength of the impulse, like I said.
So here's another big fucking... Dude, the strength of the impulse does not fucking matter to supply and demand. These things exist. Whether people bust the door down and kill each other to get a fucking tickle me Elmo is not... That trade happened. The speed at which it happened may be shocking. But the supply and demand zone this other thing he's looking for, it's just this confirmation shit just drives me nuts. Dude, no, she's got a pulse. You're not a necrophiliac. Go for it.
If you zoom out, let me do this experiment. If we zoom out
Oy.
on the weekly chart, tell me, well, look at it for a few seconds. You can pause the video. I will tell you which are the areas that stand out the most. These areas will probably be imbalances. Doesn't necessarily need to, okay? But this is a very strong area.
Okay. Yes, I agree. No, that is always going to be a strong area. But like I said, I am not going to live long enough probably to see maybe that area. Like, okay.
Okay? This is another very strong area.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is not a strong area anymore. He just blew up the logic of supply and demand. This has been supplied and demanded. Okay, this has been done. This has been supplied and demanded, right? This don't matter. No, okay, this matters, right? Here matters. This does not matter. It doesn't matter. We're here. This matters. This area. So that's what just jumps out at me, that the logic falls apart there. You know, I hate to be a stickler. I guess it's a problem. I'm just too nitpicky. I get that a lot. People are pretty pissed, or they're just annoyed. Once we breached this, of course, this topish area kind of became a bottom there. It's not until we make it here we get the first reaction, which is probably off of this top. It's the only top we can find. And this was the big pivot before we left the station. That window was critical. And of course, once that was there, and then we haven't got here yet. So to me, the most looming factor has got to be this. And this now here. But in the immediate, we had our first auction here. Will that become the place where we range here now? Do we put buy limits here? I say yes. I say buy limits here, limits here. Get in light. And of course, once you get your first limit fill, it's a different kind of feeling than buying at the market also. The same thing with a stop entry. I always felt like I was a sucker on stop entry, confirmation entry. In that momentum, it's got to keep going. Because how tight is the stop on your stop entry, right? Are you getting whipsawed on that? And sometimes that does. I wrote these buy stop things for a different broker until they kicked me out. And there was a 4-decimal broker, so all these stops are laid in literally 1 pip on the top. I stacked them, and I wrote it just for that one. It was that one thing where you only do it on that one thing, right? So I have another version of that, but it was cool because this broker would very fast servers, and they'd let you put in a ton of tickets, and they never complained. And I would stack up these buy stops that were hard, right? But they would scalp out 1 pip apart, and it was a fixed pip of like one or 2 pips with commission or something. And that fucking thing, inevitably, when market was drifting down, I would just keep hitting the button. Or if it was slamming down, to keep hitting the button. As soon as the thing reversed, it would just pluck off the first, the 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, take profits. And this thing would mechanically, if you were watching it real time and the market was doing this thing and you hit the button, you could get on stops on that. Also, I think the last 15 minutes, so if the market started to drift up, it wouldn't trap you in a shitty price. How long do these scripts, how long does the order last? So I guess what I'm trading is, it's multiple tickets that are scripts, and let's say they have a time decay, which is the one facet that makes the powerful system, because I'm not going to get trapped. Okay, if the market goes sideways for 8 hours, I am going to put in stops above and below to trade a breakout, or below if I think it's going to tank, or above if I think it's going to rally for the stop entry, right? For the confirmation upon entry. But I can't trade everything like that because I'll get whipsawed, right? If I keep doing that, there is a cost involved in confirmation and in non-directional trading. there's also cost in directional trading, because what if you're slightly wrong? Even slightly wrong, if you're in big, slightly wrong is a lot of money. So the wrong and right factor is reduced if you're trading multiple tickets, 5 tickets. If you're trading 2Ks and you're placing them in, I mean, I don't know what your size is, but if you're trading minis, 10Ks exclusively, if you trade 5Ks and put one in the market and one in below on a limit, you'd be like, oh, look at this fucking limit order's making more money. Yeah, statistically, it is. If you look at your own stats of your own playback, if you know how to place a grid of limits for, say, if you have an 8-hour expiration as opposed to a 30-minute, 15-minute. I guess I have to repost the link to all the scripts, because I'm sure people that just showed up are like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I think that is really what's the most critical thing, because even when I was trading commodities, they'd say, is that good till canceled? And I go, what the fuck are you talking about? Because you could say, at the end of the day, that order in the commodities market, you could tell the broker, okay, that's only good for today, that limit order. And you could go to sleep knowing when the market closes, they're going to delete that and they're going to start off fresh the next day. You have no exposure to getting filled on your limit, which is terrifying for people that trade the market or people that want to feel like they're controlling the trade. And that's what the no-nonsense Forex guy's doing. Because he doesn't believe in support and resistance, he wouldn't think about putting an order there. It's supply and demand, support and resistance, same thing. So here I'm going to go ahead with Mr. Tight Lips.
This is another one.
Now that is a big one there. I would still say he should only crop it to here, because then you can see this one and this one and this one and this tail. That's going to be a big deal. If we ever get to there, I would seriously get in heavy. So I would be buying from here down, willing to buy all the way to here, right? So if I'm aggressive and I've got enough money to trade a little bit more piggish on the limits, you can be a limit pig too. It's not like,
There's also another one. Okay, there's another one over there.
Okay, this one's gone now. I hate to break this guy's heart. This one don't exist no more, because this wick just negated this whole thing. It was for this fill. Okay, it was for this fill, but now he's doing what I was doing, which is talking about the past of the chart. Yeah, here's one here, right? Here's one here, here's one here. But then there's this mini one, right? So here's one here, right? And then here's all this little auction, and then like ruh-roh. And even here, I guess, well, we didn't get, this guy had to go underwater to make money. Then we have our kind of our subtle one here. We'll come back up into here. Then we stop hunt these guys. Then we come after these guys. Then we come after these guys. Bam, bam, bam. We just keep on spiking in. I think this is hard for people to see. This comes to the floor. Sellers come in, down again, then to fair value, then another retest. But if you're putting your buy limits in these little pockets, right? So these little pockets here is going to be where you're really going to get in. If you're going to ride this giant fill of this hole, and it comes right back to this doji, right? So it comes structurally into this. But this ride back, because once it clears out all that supply, it just does it like whoosh. Like, wow. The demand's been, pent-up demand is just, this is the pent-up part. In my view, supply and demand. Of course, these have different sizes, right? This one here is different than this one here in terms of direction, obviously. Size. Here's another one where we start to fill, and then, wow, once we breach that, it's just a cascade. If you're going to put in sell stops all the way down, yeah, you're going to make money like my tequila buddy. You're just going to ride that all the way down. Once you get into the buyer's window, you got to be careful, because how do you know that this isn't like it? You know, this was certainly it here. We never made it to that, but once we made it into this window, right? That became the seller's window, and they were able to take it back to that, slightly winning on those bottom tickets. And who's done trading that, right? So now we got pressure building up here on top side of the I can't draw out there, but we got a drift down now. Are we getting ready for a rally? I think we are. I'm buying into it. So yeah, I wouldn't do the trade unless that was a winner.
Over there, over there.
Over here, over there.
Price fell short of addressing to that one, and over there. Okay.
But see, this came in structurally, right? This also this pivot, these bottom wicks did become a top nearly. Not to mention, we did overshoot this bottom. So he's ignoring this constant feeding zone at this pivot. It may be ranging, but the fair value pivot right here's like well, the new fair value for this whole picture is here. So we're sitting right there in the middle of the road. But yeah, the market definitely tortures people, I think, that try to build the algo. That's so cute that you try to build an algorithm for this thing.
This does not mean
Does not.
that these areas are tradable, and when price reaches that area, we're allowed to go short. Most of them will, but not all of them, because there are rules to prevent us from taking or trading imbalances that goes against trend or the kind of structure the base is not correct. And
maybe the structure, but not the trend. I don't think there's any trend here for the people that trade supply and demand.
Many other things. Okay, but
and then many other things. And of course, this is where you're basically talking yourself out of trading at that point. I noticed that right off the bat. As soon as I said, well, I'm going to put stochastics on there just to make certain that I know that that everything is on board here, and I got a good go with throttle up. It's good to go. We're going to be just fine, man. Dude, I'm using MACD. Come on. Really? This is technical analysis. I mean, do you even know who you're talking to? I'm a technical analyst. I'm the chief currency analyst over at Traders Way. I'm in a power trade. I'm a chief currency analyst. Who would even fucking claim that? Is that a real degree? Where do you get one of those? The Institute of Pips. I'm sorry, Pip University. What am I thinking?
The main thing that we're looking at is the strength of the impulse. I could show you similar areas of
Why the fuck would we care about that?
imbalance that have been eliminated without any kind of hesitation. So we need top-down analysis and many other things.
Top-down analysis. Oh, kill me now. Just trade the chart you're on, for God's sakes. Top-down analysis.
So what I'm trying to tell you here is that once price reaches
What are you trying to tell us, for God's sakes?
one of these areas independently, if they are imbalances or not, you could also use any other strategy. You could be using other strategies successfully, like EMA crosses, Bollinger Bands.
Wow. My head's spinning just thinking about it.
Using MACD or overextension, CCI, RSI, or any of the countless indicators out
Countless. No kidding.
there in the market. Okay, you could use that kind of indicator. Okay, when price reaches that up there, and then you look for overextension or the EMA crossing on the lower time frames, crossing down, then that will be a
That's what I like to see.
signal to sell. I don't know, whatever you want. I don't need it.
See, there you go. We don't need that. We're supply and demand zones. We don't need that fucking crossover shit.
We don't need it when we trade supply and demand, because by the time price reaches that area, we are interested in selling. So we don't care about the indicators. We want to sell. Okay.
He's right. So that is the problem. Supply and demand people are not indicator people. It's just not gonna. And that's the reason I think there's 81,000 people at No Nuts, so it's Forex guys, because he portrays it as if this is like he's discovered some inner circle secret.
The conditions
Don't forget he's talked to ICTs, so
still apply. So what I'm trying to point out here is that even though these areas could not be imbalances as per certain rules, They are
Don't forget the very last supply zone that somebody is up on this trade is anybody put a sell limit above this. Yes, sir, that is a vacuum. That is some kind of stop hunt for the bears. And you'd be short right now on the weekly. You'd also be short if you put your sell limits up here and just get that trap trade going against the goobers. And of course, if you did sell here, you know that you could be taking profits right now, or you're going to go flat and put limits in here for this. Should be a bone crusher if we make it down here. I look forward to the bone crushing.
are areas where you should be expecting price to react strongly, as it happened there, price fell short, retraced into that area, another area of supply is being created. Look at the reaction from there, price reached that area and then kissed the area. So how do we trade when this is happening? How do we trade when price reaches that area? What are we expecting to find? Okay, when do we plan the trades? That's what we are trying to teach you in the setandforget.com community. So we're just pointing out here areas where you are expecting price to retrace before they happen. We always post this kind of analysis way before they happen, and that's what we want to do. Trade at these areas. We are not interested in trading here or there or there. We are interested in trading there, 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 and there again when price retraces.
He's simmered out, but he's getting as pissed off as me.
If it ever does in recent times.
Oh, look at he got wound up at the end. In 5 minutes, he fucking finally the cap popped. He came unwrapped there.
So pay attention to this kind of
fucking pay attention, people.
Impulses, because price will most likely react to them, and you could use your own strategy. It doesn't necessarily be supply and demand to enter those trades. If you want more information about how to find these imbalances, how to trade them, just please don't forget, visit setandforget.com.
Look at this. No lagging indicators or studies. I hate studying. When people used to say, you got to study, I'm like, can I not? No news, no fundamentals, no earnings announcements, no volume before the fact trades. Yes, mechanical objective set rules. This is how you do trade it. That's what I guess if I had to say what I'm doing for the limit trades, it is going to be this technique. Now for the trend trades and the breakout trades, the continuation trades, yeah, those would be, okay, the market's very quiet. Let's get into a trade here. It's Asia. Let's pick a direction. We still have the limits out there. So we have market orders and we have limit orders running, and maybe we do have stops. If the market should get quiet and simmer down enough for us to board the train without getting whipped out of it. And I do think this is the answer if you don't... I love before the fact trades, which is true. We know these zones exist. The problem is some of these zones are huge and some of them are narrow slots. Which stop hunt are you interested in? In the 4-hour stop hunt or the weekly or the daily? Can you see them getting stop hunted? You're like, oh yeah, look at these poor fuckers. It is going up, but look how they just nudge it back. And they just touch that one area. And they just kiss it and then bye-bye. What's the ratio on that trade? 8-1. But no, people are going to zero hedge. And let me see what's going on there in Canada. I don't know. I mean, I just think that if it is a market and there's money involved, there must be supply and demand or a inventory. So you're out of stock, and now you're in stock. You've got it. There is nothing available, so people go to the other currency. If the dollar... Another thing, no nonsense Forex guy says, if the dollar's involved, he doesn't want to trade the pair. It's like, what are you talking about? Because the dollar's involved? I just don't. Somebody please explain. Anyways, supply and demand, I guess is what I'm doing with limits. Market orders I'm doing on momentum. rate of change. If the market's down 300 pips and I buy with a 100 pip stop at the market on the 1 hour chart, I'm like, holy fuck, this thing is, let's hope this is going to retrace a little bit. If it's really moving like that, but if that 300 pip move, I don't care how fast it crushes into my supply zone, but if it does it, and inside of that, I have laid in scalps, right? I've got some possibly bad ratios in there to take advantage of the psychosis that I know is going to happen in there, which I'll put that in. I'll risk 40 to make 40. I'll risk 40 to make 20 if I know it's a very hot spot area that, okay, it could get crazy. I want to lock in those 20 pips to the floor. Those tickets are gone. The tighter ones are lingering, and they might come after those. And how do I rinse and repeat? And how do I keep inventory on a bunch of tickets? Okay, so what I'm doing is what he's doing, but what I'm doing is using multiple tickets to cover the supply and demand zone, because I don't know if somebody going to want an orange car or a blue car. How would you have a dealership? Are you going to pre-order a bunch of fancy colors that are so fucking ridiculous for the neighborhood you live in? Nobody's going to buy that shit. So where are you at, right? And of course, the dynamics of the market is really what's blowing people's minds, because the supply and demand zones could be cavernous or they could be micro. If they're micro, you do have to break out the micros. You have to plan fit to the conditions of each unique zone. So you do have to curve fit it in some kind of manual manner of saying, this is what we're trying to adapt to. The house is only this big. You can't put a fucking couch that's bigger than the room in the house. There is a problem with size and structures and like that stuff, In the structure, if it's a 5-story house, okay, well, is there, even in these big skyscrapers, they have the elevators that go to express elevators that pass all the lower floors and they go to the top floor, right? So once the building's too big, even in the buildings, they're saying, dude, you're going to go we start at the 40th floor, right? It expresses to the 40th, and then it's going to take you to the increments above. There's not going to be one elevator for all the fucking floors. Maybe there is on the service elevator or whatever, but you got to think that this is a huge building, this huge structure of all these possible prices. And so supply and demand, yes, it totally exists. And it is a set it and forget it system. But it would also be a rinse and repeat. If you're on your tablet and you're buying a half-hour auction, then, okay, that's going to be a rinse and repeat that's going to go on maybe 3 times a day, which is completely different than a weekly chart this guy's showing where, yeah, once we get down here, we lock it in, then we're going to ride it to the other side. And then you could jump down to the 4-hour chart and go look for like low range entries when the market quiets down on the 4-hour, and you're only going to this top down kind of whatever because you're forced to. You only do that when you're forced to do it. Like this rule that you're going to do this top down analysis, look for an entry. I think, well, for me, it's just going to fry my brain, because I'm going to look at the 1-hour chart and go, why don't I just fucking get a trade plan from the 1-hour chart? That's where I'm going to get in at. I'm getting in on the 1-hour chart, but I looked at the monthlies for my big picture. If you look at the weekly and the monthly for your big picture, hopefully you're trading the weekly and the monthly. You can see the trade plan on that chart, because as soon as you go to the 4-hour chart, that trading going to make no sense. There's more trades to be placed, and there's more nooks and crannies. There's more supply and demand zones on the 4-hour chart than there is in the weekly, and they're just covered up by the fact that you've taken the noise out of the chart by going to a larger time frame. You just denoised it by stepping back and going to a larger area that doesn't have as many increments of fluctuation. That's all you've done. Nothing magical about it, but it is cute how people want to put all these magical indicators on top, and the no-nonsense Forex. I was talking about the composite indicator that has this and this and this in it, and RSI is so terrible. I mean, if you just don't understand what momentum is and you can't understand what an index is, okay. But to say that the Allen wrench doesn't work because I'm stripping all the fucking Phillips head screws in my house because I'm using an Allen wrench it's just retarded shit. You don't blame the tool because you don't know how to use it. And I could use it if I wanted to, but I just decided that the only thing it is, I already know what it's, I can kind of imagine what a moving average looks like at this point. I should hope so. After looking at the fuckers for what, since 87, I'd say, getting my first trading book and looking at a moving average, the magic of moving averages. I think it was dumb enough to buy a magic book or watch that video. But it would all depend on, a lot of other things. And not to mention your lifestyle. Can you be awake 24 hours a day to take advantage of the 1 minute chart? It seems like you could. You're like, God, if I'm making money, I could. But maybe you can't. Maybe you're going to fall asleep. Anyways, I hope that helps. But yeah, set it, forget it. That's what I guess I'm doing with my limits.